Good evening and welcome to the Village of Westmont Committee, the whole meeting for March 1st, 2012. We welcome all of you on your discussion this evening. I'd like to begin by having our clerk, Virginia Simsky, take the roll call.
That was formal. Mayor Ron.
Here.
The clerk's here. Trustee Emery is ill tonight and absent. Trustee Fleming.
Here.
Trustee Klebanow is ill tonight and absent. Trustee Nero is absent. Trustee Scott.
Here.
Trustee Seneca.
Is here.
Manager Searle.
Here.
Attorney Zemanek.
Here.
Public Works Director May. Here. Acting Finance Director Parker. Here. Police Chief Mulhern.
Here.
Acting Fire Chief Weiss. Here. Acting Village Planner Malik.
Here.
I'm sorry. Community Development Director. I'm sorry. I called you, that's all, anyway, she's the Acting Community Development Director. I'm sorry.
Okay. Please join us in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item for discussion are the minutes. Consider approving for committee of the whole meeting held February 16th and village board meeting on February 21st. Any corrections?
That's correct.
Nope.
There were a couple of corrections submitted on the committee of the whole minutes. I did actually pass out those corrected minutes. I talked to Trustee Klebanow earlier this afternoon, and she pointed those out. So
Okay. And you've made note of those?
they are in the
You're already
revised version that I
corrected in
passed
here.
out.
Okay. Moving right along, open forum.
No
We
open
have
forum.
no requests before us this evening or under open forum. Mayor, I would just like to, I came up with two gentlemen in the elevator and we were discussing this terrible weather we're having and how we're suffering through it this
This
winter.
winter's been horrible.
One of them, I didn't get his name, where's he? Said 2 more weeks and we should be in the clear. And I said, I agree with you there.
Yep.
It's been awful, Mr. Mayor. It's been awful.
Yeah,
It was
Forrester is
great.
his name.
It was great. With
Exactly.
that being said, move right along with our village clerk.
I just want to remind residents, I reminded all the residents on the west side of Cass Avenue. Now, on the east side, you will be getting your water bills, and there will be a significant increase. It is due to the added expenses from the city of Chicago and our DuPage County Water Commission. It is not the village. We're just passing on what we're being charged for the water. So don't be shocked when you get it. It is significant, but you have been warned now, so don't call me and scream, please.
Question, are you getting a lot of calls from residents? The
We
clerk's
did,
office?
we did on the west side because that was the first side that it happened to.
Okay.
But I think that there has been enough notification now that people are
So
more
once
prepared.
once they
More
understand.
prepared, right,
Okay.
that this is going to happen to them. I'm sorry, but it is. And the other thing I want to remind people, because I'm personally going to take them out if I see them, if there are election signs in the parking, in the parkway, I will pick them up and take them out. That they cannot be allowed in the parkway, so please, don't let anybody put election signs in the parkway.
When you do not have a sidewalk and no parkway, then there's more
Challenge.
room for judgment.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
But most of the town
Are in the,
Are in the
there's
sidewalks,
one right
right.
on my street right now, and I'm going
Okay.
to pick it up on the way home.
are, okay,
You go, girl. I have warned.
thank you. Next, our village attorney.
I just have a quick update in that there's a new federal law passed recently that requires local governments and state governments to approve existing cell companies that have towers when they want to replace or remove transmission equipment, which I'm trying to find a definition what they mean by that, but apparently it would be cables, antennas, boxes. When they want to replace that, they have to be approved by local communities, and we can't make them jump through unnecessary hoops obtain variances, et cetera. And you may recall, we've been dealing with that a lot lately as cell companies switch out their antennas, upgrade their antennas, et cetera. It also applies to co-location of new transmission equipment. I don't know if that means if a new carrier wants to join an existing tower, whether that has to be approved or whether we can require a variance as we have done. So I've alerted Shannon to that, and we may need to make some amendments to our zoning ordinance. But it also may mean fewer requests coming before you. That's all I have.
If I can go back just for 1 second. My wife and I are organizing pictures that we've taken over the years. And today, this is particularly for Bob Scott, will appreciate this. I have a wonderful picture of Roger and Nancy when I presented the Citizen of the Year Award. And I saw that, just brings,
We should make sure the chamber gets that, a copy
I'm
of
going to
that.
get it to the chamber and have them printed up. It's just gorgeous.
Very nice.
And he did so much for the village. Thank you. Village manager.
Well, thank you. Just
So,
a couple of things. I would like to have request an executive session for personnel, potential and pending litigation. I wanted to remind the board that we're going to do a restart and try to have the verbal report on the climate action plan this coming Monday under my report. And then we've also invited a representative from DuPage County at the suggestion of Trustee Klebanow to come out and talk about the recent public information on a meeting that was held over at the church. I don't remember the exact location, but in which they explain the upcoming project on 55th Street. So we'll have a brief presentation from either someone from staff of the county or maybe our own staff. I know we have a pretty good understanding of how it affects our community as well. So we'll do that on Monday as well. I want to mention that we will have a very, very brief, hopefully, Finance Administration Committee meeting on Monday. We're looking to do it in the range of about 15 or 20 minutes. The reason for this, and the reason I want to mention it is that will lead into and I had mentioned at the last meeting that there'd be more information coming out about the upcoming referendum that's on March 20th regarding electric aggregation, and we've got a gentleman coming in to make a presentation and do kind of a public open forum. So if anybody has any interest, that open forum we anticipate will, or public forum I should say, will probably start about 6:15 on March 5th. We have on our website a press release, and there are a list of frequently asked questions. Our whole purpose of this document and that public forum is to get the information out as to how it would affect residents and help them make a decision as to how they want to vote on the referendum. So that will be this coming Monday. And that is all I have.
thank you. Moving on with trustee items. Trustee Fleming.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Trustee Seneca.
Thank you. Just wanted to remind everyone, tomorrow night, Saturday and Sunday, will be the spring musical at Westmont High School, How to Succeed in Business. The kids are extremely talented. It's always a wonderful night out, so call the school tomorrow and get your tickets for this weekend. I think everyone will really enjoy it. Also wanted to congratulate the Chamber on the event that they held last night at Westmont Center. It was really well attended and a great time and a great opportunity for some of the members to showcase their businesses. So it was really well done and very nice. And then the last thing I have is sympathy to the family of Olive Putz. Olive is a very long-time resident, and she just recently passed away at age 92. So sympathy to that family, very active in the community. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. New business. Special
Trustee Scott.
I have got one item.
Oh, what?
That's okay.
Trustee Scott.
Just want to inform that the Economic Development Committee meeting will be canceled for next Wednesday, March 7th.
Okay.
Lack of an agenda.
I checked your name off before you spoke. Sorry. That's great. Thank you. Special use permit, 226 North Cass. Or to consider approving an ordinance, approving the following request in order to operate a dance school in the B1 Limited Business District. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Walter Morrissey. I'm the attorney for Tim Theriault, who's the contract purchaser of the property at 226 North Cass. With me is Jan Forster, who operates as a longtime resident of the village, and she operates the Center for Dance here in town for the past 20 years. Our proposal is to relocate the ongoing business Center for Dance from their location on Chicago Avenue to 226 North Cass, and we would create, the facility presently is used for mechanical engineering for a mechanical contractor, and we would like to, and are asking the council for approval of a special use so we can use it as a dance studio. At that site, it's a two-story building. It has 13,350 square feet. As part of our application, we submitted a floor plan for how the interior space would be configured into the dance studios. There's parking on both sides of the building, the north and south. There's approximately 20 stalls on the off-street parking on the south side of the building as well as on the north side. And there is a space for pick-up and drop-off of the younger students for the classes. The building will be used in the morning hours, the afternoon hours, and also there'll be some evening hours for the dance classes. Typically on a Thursday, it would be in the morning from 9 to 11. Monday through Friday it would be 3 to 10 o'clock. Saturday it would be from 9 to 6, and Sunday would be limited to rehearsals for the company. There will be some nominal sale of dance attire, shoes, and that type of thing, but there will not be a great deal of retail activity at the site. We would think there would be, in a typical day, 30 to 40 students in the various classes that are being conducted. We think it's a good fit for the community. We believe it will add to the crafts and arts work that's going on up and down the street and throughout the village. We also know that this property in the past has been part of the festival each year. And Mr. Theriault is committed to continuing to participate with the festival activities. There have been some tents on the open space and so forth, and he'd like to continue that. And Jan, would you like to add any comments to that description?
No, we're really excited. I've been in the village. I've had my business on Chicago Avenue for 21 years. I'm also a village resident for 21 years. And, you know, we're looking to expand, and it's a perfect location for us. We think it'll bring some business into the downtown area, lots of parents, you know, so it'll help not just us, but hopefully all the other businesses too.
Magic word that you said is shopping.
Yeah.
And bringing more people downtown
Well,
for our shops and our restaurants.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
Excellent.
Glad you're expanding in Westmont.
Yeah.
It's great.
How much more room will you have at this new location than where you?
Right now I have 4 spaces in the strip mall. I have about 4,800 square feet. So danceable space will be almost double.
Wow, that'd be nice.
Any other questions? Board members?
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
As
it's easy.
a
It's
parent
an easy
that
one.
had a child in Miss Jan's program for years and was in her company, she runs a great program.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Just out of curiosity, someone told me I ran into the other day that you've had several students that have gone on to
Yes, I have.
higher levels too.
Quite a few. I have, one of my former students, Jason Meyer, is choreographer for Willow Smith in LA. He's been in LA for 25 years. I've had kids on cruise ships. I've had Disney dancers. My own daughter was a Disney dancer. Rockettes. I've had girls dance in Las Vegas.
Great.
Yeah, we've been invited to go to China as part of the cultural exchange program. We were approached this past summer. We also just got invited to go to Germany for a competition. So
Wow,
the
great.
kids they're doing very well.
I just wanted you to get that out there so everybody understands.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You'll be on our agenda for consideration on Monday. Next item, variance request 650 Pasquinelli. Board to consider an ordinance approving following requests from the College of DuPage. A, zoning code variance request to permit an off-premises sign, and B, fee waiver request.
Good evening. My name is Angela Noble. I'm a project manager with the College of DuPage Facilities Department, and with me tonight is John Doyle with Chicago Signs, who is doing our sign installation for our new sign program. And John's going to give you a brief overview of what we're requesting here tonight.
Okay, thank you.
The college recently implemented a new sign program. If you've been over to their campus, the main campus, you've seen some of these kinds of signs here. These are 18 to 20 feet tall, but that's not what we're proposing over here. This is it's at the main campus and all the satellite campuses. We just put the one up in Carroll Stream. We also just put the ones up in Naperville. Next is Westmont. The signs that we're proposing have the same shape, and only this area here with the name of the college lights up. 6'6" is the height.
Yes.
There we go. The existing sign is 4 foot by 8 foot, 32 square feet at 20 foot elevation. We're going to be at the same setback. We're approximately 24 foot 3 inches setback from the curb of the street.
Okay.
Note that a typical parking space is 18 feet. So, we won't be blocking traffic in any way. And of course, there's hundreds of students that go there every day and night. So this sign is the only way in and out. We are off-premise technically, only because it's the way the properties are separated, we have an easement in. And so that's how we're locating this sign to direct the traffic in. And of course, the sign is for the safety and the convenience of the public.
Okay.
This is a very unique circumstance. The parcel's entirely landlocked. There was an easement agreement that was put in place in the 80s to allow for the off-premise signage because there is no visibility from Pasquinelli.
Mm-hmm.
I have to pay the College of DuPage compliments. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, they had a celebration at our location here in Westmont.
It was wonderful.
And I was there with another trustee. And the presentation was wonderful. You're really expanding, and you got approval, I believe, the last election for more expansion. My own daughter, she's a college graduate. Now she's taking advanced biology and chemistry classes for her next adventure in school. She's very happy with COD. Of course, she goes to the main campus. And when she's unhappy, we hear about it. And we get very, very few comments from her. So, and the teachers are very well qualified. And I'm very, very happy, as my wife Jill is, with her endeavors. Not only her, but all 3 of our kids took COD classes, but she's probably taking more than anyone else.
I suspect there's a number of people here, as myself, has also taken classes at COD.
My compliments to you for that, all you do for our whole area.
Mayor, if I may point out one other thing, the signage that they're proposing combined with the existing wall sign and the proposed ground sign is 71.8 square feet. They're allowed a total of 188 square feet, so they're well under the maximum allowed by code.
So it'll be fine.
As Trustee Seneca said on the next item, it appears to be a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. We're fortunate to have a satellite right here in Westmont, so thank
Yes.
you for being here.
And when we left the meeting, it was my understanding that your classes here in Westmont are pretty much filled
Yes, that's
all
my
the time.
Yes, that's my
Yeah,
understanding.
that's wonderful. Wonderful for you and wonderful for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item. Were there any questions from any board members? Variance request 55 East 63rd. Board to consider an ordinance granting a zoning code variance from the Culture Center at TECO, T-E-C-O in Chicago, to increase the number of allowable signs from 1 to 2.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Watson, and I'm here representing TICO, the Cultural Center off of 55 East 63rd Street. And we are asking for an additional signage on the building, not a pylon sign, not out by the street, to be in Chinese for our customers, our people that own the building, to be able to come and find their building.
Okay.
Quite literally, what's out there right now is in English. The sign is backlit, or not backlit, gooselit.
Okay.
Goosenet, so there won't be any glaring. Shouldn't have any problem with it. And we're well below our square footage allowed. We just need more signage so they can find their own building.
Nice.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, this is another one where they, as Steve mentioned, are significantly less than the total they'd be permitted.
Can everybody hear that? Why don't you pull the microphone
We're
over?
significantly less signage than what would be
Than what their
permitted.
total
No, by
square,
our,
the total square footage that they would be allowed is significantly greater than what they're proposing. It's just the number of signs.
okay. Questions, board members? Questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Be on the agenda Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
Next item, variance request 39 North Gas. Board to consider an ordinance approving request from West Suburban Funeral Home for the following. A, zoning code variance to increase the number of allowable signs, and B, code variance to increase the maximum gross square footage of signage. Gentlemen, would you introduce yourself and,
My name is Matthew Conboy.
Tony Capetta?
okay,
We're from the West Suburban Funeral Home.
okay.
We're here to talk about the square footage of signage to be increased for our building, in being that's the hardships that we're having of people not being able to find the funeral home. We have a lot of phone calls from guests of the deceased that are calling to say, I can't find your building, where are you? And we keep mentioning that we're 39 North Cass, which is about 1 block north of the railroad tracks. And if we all know they go too far and go past the railroad tracks, it's a little tough to turn around with the amount of trains that go through. But not only that, a lot of delivery for casket manufacturers and things that drop them off for the funeral home don't even know where the funeral home is because they can't read any signs. The sign that we do have is an awning that's in front of the building, which is relatively blocked by the tree that's, the village tree that's right in front of our building. The other thing that's a little, I guess, hard for us to swallow sometimes is if people are not familiar where we are, they'll call and say, I'm at your building, your doors are locked, referring to their Toon Funeral Home and asking if that's our funeral home, and that's no good for business.
They can't read
If
the
anybody-
sign?
What?
They can't read the sign?
They cannot read the sign.
At Toon Funeral Home, they can't read the sign.
Apparently people just, well, they also think that Toon's parking lot, which says public parking, is their parking lot as well. So they don't read that sign either.
That's true.
It is.
Yeah,
Parking.
that's, yeah.
It is public, but people don't, yeah, they always think, oh, no, that's Toon's Funeral Home parking. I said, no, it says public. They said, oh, I never even saw that sign. So.
We try to mark.
Oh,
Sign.
absolutely, and it is well marked.
Okay.
So that's our hardships towards the building of even, we've had an employee come to the funeral home and ask the same question, where are you? So.
I'd like to hear from staff first and
Sure.
hear her interpretation.
This situation's a little bit different than the last couple of petitions we've been hearing. The total square footage of signage that they're allowed there is 45 square feet. That's based on 1.5 times the 30-foot wide facade along Cass Avenue. There has been a heightened sense of awareness of that square footage limitation because when the owners first came into business at the location there, they were asked to remove remove one sign on the south facade because in order to change the awning lettering to the new business name, they had to bring everything into compliance at that time before the permit could be issued. So the situation as it's kind of transpired to date is that the 2 new wall signs went up without permits. Again, 45 square feet max is what's permitted by code. What is there today is 130 square feet. So that's 2 wall signs at 44 square feet plus the awning lettering at 42 square feet. The Planning and Zoning Commission did go ahead and recommend approval, but they encouraged the petitioners to try to work with staff to come to some sort of happy medium or middle ground, making the suggestion that perhaps the size of the signs could be reduced or pin letters could be used, something to bring it a little bit closer to that 45 square foot number.
Questions, board members?
My first question is, are you not aware of the fact that you went ahead and did it, with not knowing that you needed a permit and knowing that you already were within the limits of the signs?
Yeah, that was discussed last time, and I guess our thought was before with taking down the old sign was it was change of ownership, so signs had to come down before anything else went up. So it's kind of, I guess, a little naive for myself on thinking that way, is why, what happened with that.
That's too big. That's too much over the allowable amount. I'm willing to listen to any kind of negotiation myself as an individual, as a board member. But I mean, you're talking about, 45 square feet to this over here. If we have that situation now, and this is one that it would be a precedent-setting scenario in the downtown district, because if we do allow this, we're just opening a door that I'm not sure we're going to be able to get closed. Now, I'm not totally opposed to more signage for this building. I can understand your problems that you have, but honestly, addresses and finding the building, I'm sorry.
I don't buy that.
I don't.
I just don't buy it.
I mean, elderly person and you're 90, you're in your 80s. And
But they find Amber, and they find Vincitori, and they find, people find locations, and you said people delivering caskets and things can't find it. Well, I don't think those are 92-year-old drivers. I hope not. But I guess my concern is kind of like Trustee Fleming is, are we setting a precedent? Because then, we do have other buildings that are similar, and business owners could say, hey, I want a sign on the north and a sign on the south. And the next thing you know, we kind of look like 22nd Street did back in the 80s with all those signs going through Cicero and Berwyn. And that's not something I want to achieve. I don't know how everybody else feels.
what's Plan B? Have you come up and talked to Shannon with a compromise?
One of the things that
Something
came
smaller.
up was the idea of possibly covering the awning lettering. It's not something that we received any, substantiation for if that's going to be their decision or not. That would eliminate 42 square feet of lettering or signage, so that would bring their total to 88 square feet, where again 45 is allowed. And I do have some maintenance concerns, covering up the lettering with paint versus re-canvassing.
I've talked about that with the canvas guy again. He did tell me that the paint could come off again through winters and all that, and I said, well, then we would. What we're proposing is.
Actually, the awning's very attractive and well done.
Oh,
I think
agree
that's
with you.
great
It is,
signage.
yeah. But when the leaves are up, you can't read it.
Yeah.
It's right in front of,
Yeah.
Was there any consideration given to the pin letters that would reduce the overall square footage?
We hadn't talked about that, because I know I just mentioned about, would it be okay if we covered up the letterings on the awning? That's kind of where we left some things.
Well, here's another thought. We've allowed our restaurants and several of the businesses downtown to put out portable signage out towards the sidewalk where you can see it from the street as you're driving. Would that be something that you might consider?
With a time limitation.
Right.
When there's a visitation or something like that.
Station or whatever. I mean, I'm just trying to find a way to to make it work.
Shannon, on
Yes.
your presentation, I missed it on the awning. On the ends of the awning, you're going to have names also?
No, there's nothing on the ends of the awning.
Because I know some of the businesses put the information in small letters on the ends of the awning, which gives you,
I don't think that awning
do that, and also on the
has
front.
much room.
You would
I don't
have
think it's-
something.
It's not wide, I don't think it's wide enough. He's got a narrow awning.
Okay.
Narrow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't know how far up
yeah, I think it's pretty narrow.
it's allowed. But,
I think they've got a unique situation, though, with the tree out in front.
Yeah.
well, the village.
That
Does
blocks
block
it, and no matter what business, we hope you stay there forever, but no matter what business goes in there, it's going to have that same situation.
Yes.
And as that tree gets bigger, it's going to get worse.
Right.
So I
Well,
think we have to
then
make
that's
some-
our responsibility.
Right, and
Take
unlike
care of the
retail,
tree.
they can't necessarily, I mean, you don't want to see the sign on the window. You know, retail has their signs on the window a lot of times.
No, and they don't have people coming there every day
Right,
either.
exactly,
So they're
exactly.
limited on the times that people do
Yeah.
come, and it's important for those people to get there.
I'd like to see you work with staff to come to a more reasonable size for the signs on each side. That is a really, really big variance, and I'm uncomfortable granting a variance of this size without setting precedent. But if we could negotiate it down, I'd be fine.
I could live with that.
Any thoughts on the height of the sign, where it's currently located on the side of the building? And I only bring that up because it's one of the discussions that planning and zoning, I believe, was maybe that should be investigated also. You may feel it's completely appropriate where it is.
It's 4 by 11 and up on the second story.
I would think higher would be better for visibility, but
Yeah, I think before they were asking to lower it down lower than where it is, which would be on the first level, meaning anybody that's driving northbound on Cass Avenue would not be able to see it until you're pretty much
So
at
you're
our
on top
parking
of
lot. And brakes at that point would not be a good thing with cars closely traveling behind.
Okay.
Well, and you got 2 lanes there, so you always have to worry about people crossing streets and people trying to look at the signs and not paying attention where they're at. So I think that can be seen, I think earlier would be better.
Oh, yeah. Kind of why we, I guess, thought about putting it up higher than lower.
Okay.
Is there any feedback on the square footage the board would like to see? What size we should try to look for?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about removing the lettering from the awning itself, and if I'm catching this right, that's going to decrease that, but with these 2 signs, then it's only going to be 88 square feet?
If the awning lettering is entirely removed, the remaining signage would be 88 square feet.
Would they be allowed to have a larger awning to come out further
Could the awning project further?
so that they could put something on each side of the awning?
If they chose to change the awning out.
Okay.
But we're looking at both the number of signs and the total square
Right,
footage.
right. But that's just another consideration.
There's also an allowance for a small shingle-style sign, just right under where that awning would be for pedestrians that are kind of walking through.
Okay.
I'm just, what is a shingle sign?
Like a bracket-style sign that you could hang up underneath the awning, kind of like
Okay.
John Fleming's.
Gotcha.
Compromise, report back Monday, and if it's been discussions.
Okay. Okay, we're missing a number of trustees this evening. So what I would like to do is continue this discussion, if we may, on Monday, and see if they have any other recommendations, and we'll decide at that time whether to postpone it or to move forward with it.
Okay.
Or maybe in the next couple of days, you can come to
Yeah,
some
you
kind
can
of
work with-
agreement, bring that in on Monday night, too.
that sounds good.
Staff to get more recommendations before Monday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I say something to the Foresters before they get out of here? They have a very talented son who should get very involved with our theater group, so I'd like to encourage him to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he is quite, yes, he is.
Put that in
Sounds good to me.
Put it on the agenda.
No, I just want to encourage him to do that, 'cause he is talented, he loves to sing, and
Motion to draft.
just trying to
Get a resolution
some-
together for it.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you. Next item, Village Ordinance, Section 78-511, B2, Vehicle Seizure and Impoundment. Board to consider an ordinance amending Section 78-511B2, Vehicle Seizure and Impoundment, to specify that no vehicle may be towed or impounded if the driver's license of the driver is suspended for an unpaid citation or for a failure to comply with emissions testing. Our
Evening, Mayor.
Chief of Police, Tom Mulhern.
Evening, Mayor and Village Board. This comes before you, January 1st, the Illinois legislature enacted a law that prohibits police departments, if they have an administrative tow or a vehicle seizure program, from administratively towing vehicles if the driver's license of the vehicle operator was suspended for having unpaid citations or for vehicle emissions. This comes before you today. However, our department, we put that in place effective January 1st. January 4th was the day we took in effect, and have not towed any vehicles since that date subject to this. It's just something to bring our ordinance and our policy up to date to be in compliance with state law.
Okay. We get complaints that you're towing my car, it's too expensive. You towed my car out of my driveway, you towed it from here or there. People have to understand that there are laws, and it's pretty stiff fees for some of these operations for our police department to handle. And I compliment you, and you depend not only on our police, but our towing companies, and everyone else takes a lot of what shall I say, grief from some people when they do this, so it's not easy.
There's two ways for a tow. If a vehicle, and again by state law, we're allowed to tow vehicles if it's in connection with a certain crime, such as a drug offense or a felony offense. And there's also our enactment, the administrative tow, which is separate. If it's in someone's driveway and that's the person's driveway, the officer's discretion is whether to tow or not. However, if it's someone who also, there's drugs involved inside that car, it's a different type of seizure. Or if it's someone who may be intoxicated, it's a different type of tow. The office, but for administrative tow, that's what this is. But no, we try not to tow unless we absolutely have to. And here again, too, part of our policy is if someone feels that their vehicle is towed inappropriately, they can come to a hearing officer, just like we do with the red light enforcement cameras, and they can have a hearing in front of an officer and explain to the hearing officer, why they feel that their car was towed unjustly, and that person makes a decision.
Okay. Questions? I'm hearing no questions. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor.
Declaration of village property as surplus. Or to consider an ordinance declaring certain police equipment as surplus property.
I'm back. We have a old breath test device. By old, it's outlived its serviceable life. There are replacement parts for the Illinois State Police when they come in to recertify this device, have some very limited shelf parts to make it still usable. Last year, knowing that this device could go out of service at any time, we purchased a new breath test device. This device has just been sitting there. It's an extra device. We were approached by the Illinois State Police that there's other departments in the state of Illinois that don't have a device, and if we would so loan or just donate to our old device that's sitting on a shelf not being used to another police department, that would facilitate or assist them in having their officers take their person arrestee to a different department, which is a hardship. So the state police has identified a police department, Phoenix, Illinois Police Department, that would benefit from our old device. We would donate it to them. There is no viable market out there to sell this device. That was our first thing, can we sell it? And actually, the state police has told us that there's no viable market. No one's going to buy this. And this machine will only last as long as they have parts in place, or parts in stock. It's beyond its serviceable life or its warranted life. Once the state police runs out of parts, Phoenix is without a machine again. So we're looking to have this declared as surplus so we can donate it to the Phoenix Police Department.
Okay. Thank you. Questions? Thank you again. 2012 zoning map. Or to consider an ordinance approving the revised official map of the village dated December 31st, 2011 as the 2012 zoning map.
As required by law, each year, the municipality is required to adopt the new zoning map by March 31st. Planning engineer Kim Nickel has provided the updated map this year. Some minor changes, one annexation, the consolidation of several parcels, including the standard market development, and of course, we continue to show the moratorium area up by Southeast Acres. Pretty much just a matter of course, unless Ron has other comments.
No, I just want to note again, it's the village map for the calendar year. I know there was some questions a few years back. We were actually publishing a map as of the end of March 31st, but this is just for the calendar year up to
Right.
2010.
December 31st.
2011, sorry.
Questions? Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Next item, audit firm selection. Board to consider an ordinance approving the revised official map. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm the wrong one here. Shannon, audit firm selection. Board to consider an ordinance approving the selection of the village's independent audit firm for fiscal year 2011, 2012, 2012, 2013, and directing staff to execute an engagement letter.
Good evening,
sir.
Mayor and Village Board. As you're aware, the village has previously used the firm of Sickage as our independent auditor, and they began auditing us with the fiscal year 2005 audit. So they did that they've audited us for several years, then had a few extensions. Last year was one of the extensions, and it was decided at that time that we would extend for an additional year, but then go out for proposals for this current year. And so that's what we've done. We sent out 11 requests for proposals, and from the responses we received back, we're able to narrow it down to 2 based on price. The 2 firms that we've narrowed it down to are Sickage again and the firm Baker Tilly Virchow Krause. And both of them are very comparable with prices. The base audit cost is about a few $100 difference between the 2 firms. One of the differences is in the library price, and the firm of Baker Tilly was a little bit less costly for the library. Additionally, one of the other cost issues is the board had previously indicated some interest in possibly using the firm for some other things besides simply auditing, some additional services, and the rates for that, Baker Tilly was significantly less than Sickage for any ongoing work that the village may be interested in. Both prices were very, very competitive. In fact, they're down about $2,600 from the price we had to pay for this past year. So we're very happy about that. The price is going down. Anytime we're looking at a change in audit team, it's important to kind of weigh the pros and the cons with the change. You know, with a change in audit team, you get a new perspective. You get to have somebody else look over the same stuff again. You get some different recommendations, get some different advice, get to see how different people do it. Of course, there's staff time and transition costs involved. And last year, it was determined that, you know, with our own internal transitions would not be the best time to go consider a change. I mean, this year I think it's much more doable and something we definitely consider if that's the board's interest and desire.
Sounds good.
I don't know if there's any
Tilly sounds good to me.
Questions?
It's just good business to make a switch every once
Yeah,
in a while.
I think it's time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've been very pleased with the work that Sickage has done, but I think at this time it's a great opportunity to make that change and get that new perspective.
Okay.
Good.
You know, the references were very good for Baker Tilly. People are very impressed with them and impressed with the staff that we would get if we went with them. I'm sure they'd continue to do a great job for us, just as Sickage has done. And we could always look at Sickage if we're looking for a new perspective next time.
And not stealing the manager's thunder, but we had a long discussion, and he also is in favor of making a change.
Sounds good.
It's a good,
Thank you.
good move at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Page Mayors and Managers Conference Legislative Action Program. Or to consider a resolution endorsing the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference 2012 Legislative Action Program.
This is an annual process that we go through. As the board knows, we are a member of DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference. It represents municipalities throughout the county. One of the benefits of participating is strength in numbers in terms of being able to be a voice in Springfield, in terms of protecting interests that are those of our residents. What we're asking for is the same direction that we've sought the last few years, which is to adopt the proposed legislative action program that Mayors and Managers has put together. They go through a process of putting this together each year by soliciting input from the various municipalities, so it's a very contributory process. I'll just point out, I won't go through all the details of what's in here. I could let the public know if they're interested. You could Google DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference, the website. It's available right on the front of their website. We can also have it posted on the meeting date on our calendar for next Monday if people are interested in looking at the full document. But there's four main areas that are covered. They have legislative priorities, legislative principles, legislative position statements, and then they always include a section on home rule status and population. And I just wanted to go through kind of the legislative priorities because those are the things that are considered to be most critical. Just in sort of summary fashion, the first one this year, which has been consistent with last several years, is again to protect financial survival of municipalities. You know, whether that's timely dispersion of our local government distributive funds, or trying to make sure there's no unfunded mandates that come through collective bargaining bills, those types of things. The second critical reform has to do with pensions, and I know there's been a lot of public discussion about this recently. The conference's position on this is they want to ensure sustainable pensions, and what they mean by this is protect, you know, the obligations of the employers, but also the obligations of the employees that have been committed to in the past. We're not looking necessarily to you know, hurt anyone in the process. I mean, there are certain obligations that have been made, but to try to figure out a collective, collaborative way to try to make the pension funds more sustainable. The next one is, okay, covered. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. The next one is protect public rights of way and advances in the modernization of public utilities. This has been a fairly recent conversation, particularly for those of you who are familiar with the term, the smart grid concept that we've talked about previously. So again, we're looking to try and encourage the state to work to help modernize and provide a reliable power supply for all of our residents. Those are the priorities. I won't go through all the principles. There's a number of those. And again, the document, we'll have it available on our website if people are interested in learning more about that. But this, by having the board adopt this resolution, it gives staff direction, both when we participate in the legislative drive-down program that Mayors and Managers sponsors, also the Illinois Municipal League sponsors a legislative program, as well as giving us day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month direction if there's any sort of bills that come up that we feel are not in the best interests of our residents. So it helps staff in that manner. So I would ask to place that on the agenda and get board approval on Monday.
Okay. Questions, comments?
One of the other important things I think they probably should have put in priorities was to implement the streamlined sales tax. I know it's an unpopular topic with purchasers.
Yes.
But it's devastating local mom and pop retailers.
I
They
didn't
can't compete.
really drill down the detail, but that is one of the sub-points under protecting municipal revenues. Yeah, so it has been there, and it's actually been part of the discussion in the last couple of years as well.
Good.
So, good point.
Any other comments? Moving along. Finance ordinance number 21.
Waive the reading.
Request to waive the reading. Thank you. Purchase orders. Questions on purchase orders? Hearing no requests, no comments. Unless there's something else for discussion this evening, I would accept a motion as presented by the manager to go into executive session regarding personnel and potential impending litigation.
So move, Seneca.
Second, Scott.
Roll call.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Thank you. We are adjourned to executive session. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll be back again on Monday. Have a nice weekend.